Welcome back. Well, one of the tailwinds for our market is definitely crude prices. Brent crude currently at around $81 per barrel, so definitely a positive for us, considering that we're net importers of that. Manisha joins in. She's our commodities editor to tell us what she's tracking within that space. Manisha.
Thank you for that, Ekta. And joining me now is Peter McGuire, CEO Exim Australia. Peter, hi, good to have you. And, October was a weak month for crude oil prices. November until now has been on the weaker side as well. Good news for Indians, of course. We're trading around that $80 per barrel mark. But with the kind of statements that we are seeing from OPEC, which says that this is speculation, the fundamentals have not changed. And then you have the IEA, which says that it doesn't look as tight as earlier was thought as. What do you make of all of these statements?
Well, I mean, good afternoon, Manisha. It's been a very mixed bag as far as news items, and then throw in there, of course, geopolitical tensions, which really ramped up prices. So I take on board all of the information, and then it just seems to be, more noise in the market each and every day. As far as price breakouts, it's very range bound, as we know, 75 to say 82, 83. If you look, I'm referring to NYMEX and Brent. So they're tight, it's tightly held, and there just doesn't seem to be any great breakouts on either side at the moment.
Peter, with the kind of record numbers that we've seen from US in sense of output, how do you read that? I mean, is that one of the reasons that even as we've seen Saudi and Russia cut, but the US inventories, US output continues to be much higher?
Absolutely, Manisha. I mean, August, I think it was around about 13 million barrels. It was a record. And when you're looking as far as, what we're expecting in 24, just almighty numbers. And, you've got an insatiable thirst for consumption if you're looking at the US. So, you can't say that they're not making, or they're not producing barrels. And whether they're going to be, in the sense of more rigs coming online, if prices were going to, edge up higher from here, that might find more attractiveness to, those domestic producers in the States. So it's such a mixed bag at the moment. And I'm conscious as far as, heading into winter, what that'll mean as far as from a demand picture and overall. There seems to be the geopolitics, or that war premium seems to very much evaporated from the crude market.
Okay. And so, is China demand, which seems to be slightly improving or not, how are you reading those numbers?
Well, I'm looking at it. I mean, they are improving a little bit, but that seems to be, very much the state of play at the moment. And I look at China as a whole, Manisha. I look at the export-driven market. I look at domestic consumption naturally, and in the property sector over there, we're very conscious of. So, I'm not seeing any huge growth forecasts in the short term. Let's get through this winter period. Let's see if there's any outages or any issues that can impact price, and then we sail very much into 24.
What's your sense on prices then? Because we've done a 70 and we've done an almost 100, a 96, 97, and we are just about at 80 right now. How would you see this year ending, and what is the first quarter of 2024 looking like?
Well, I think first off, let's get through the next 6 weeks. And if you don't see any breakouts from a geopolitical, and I'll make reference to that. I mean, we're only 5 weeks in, and if that doesn't, if that subsides, then that war premium is certainly gone. So let's I would say it probably may see a couple of dollars down to the downside, and I think it's going to be range bound. I don't see any real breakouts. As far as Q1's going, I want to see what the action is as far as Russia, what's happening with Saudis, and whether you're going to see any news items that are greatly going to impact price. I've got a very choppy US dollar, Manisha. We've got a stock market that seems to be very, very strongly bid up in the last 2.5 weeks. And crude's taking a backward seat at the moment.
All right. So the $100 is absolutely out of the way, would you say?
Well, I don't think you're going to see $100 before Christmas unless you saw something dramatic happen, and no one's got a crystal ball on that from a geopolitical stance. And but in the first quarter, I think the prices will edge up, but I'm not sure how much further they'll go unless you saw something dramatic impact price.
So before the year end, while you are expecting the crude oil prices to be range bound, what's your sense on metals? Because we've seen this week also going for a bit of a profit taking. Clearly, we seem to be holding our bottoms in place. But where do you see the industrials and the precious metals from here?
Well, industrials, Manisha, they've had a nice little bid up. I mean, it hasn't been dramatic, but they're stronger than, copper's up. The best part is about 8,200 a metric ton. That's a lot better for producers than 7,800 or 7,900. So there's a plus there. And I think that it'd probably carry a few of those other metals up. So I won't be surprised to see a little bit more updraft for some of those industrial metals, base metals, I should say. And then if you're looking at precious, well, gold seems to be very choppy. I've got a US dollar under pressure. It's coming there. I'm looking at price around about 104.30 for the US dollar index, Manisha. So I think gold will probably edge up higher from here. It's certainly strong if you're looking in yen. So, in US dollars, up further from here.
And what's your sense on silver? Because $23 an ounce seems to be back around here. And most of the people that we seem to be talking to right now, Peter, are more bullish in silver than in gold. Is that your view too?
Yeah. I agree, Manisha. Yeah, $23.50 an ounce for silver. Industrial demand's very strong. There's been undercapitalized as far as mining and CapEx for probably the best part of a decade. And everyone's loading into physical silver and certainly into paper markets. So I don't think that's going to wane. And I think 24 could be an outstanding year for both of the, big brother being gold and silver.
Okay.
Okay, all right, Manisha. Thanks very much for that, as well as Peter. So preferring silver over gold, that's the word coming in. Thanks very much for that and bringing us that perspective.